The light in our backyard never goes out. No matter what time it is midnight, 2 a.m. dawn, it stays the same pale golden brightness. Not like a lamp or a floodlight, but like sunlight trapped in a jar. I remember the first night I realized something was wrong. It was 3:04 in the morning. I had gotten up to get water when I noticed the curtains glowing softly. Emma was asleep beside me, but the light leaking through the fabric was bright enough to trace every corner of the room. At first, I thought it was just the neighbor's security light, so I went to the window to shut the blinds. But when I looked out, it wasn't a light. It was the entire yard. The grass shimmered as if morning dew had caught the sun. The fence stood in crisp detail, each nail reflecting golden warmth. Even the trees looked unreal, too sharp, too still. And right in the middle of it all was a faint silhouette. It was someone standing perfectly still, facing the house. I froze. For a few seconds, I thought my brain was playing tricks on me. Maybe it was my reflection, maybe a trick of the light, but when I waved, it didn't move. I whispered, "Hello?" But the air outside didn't shift. The person didn't respond. Then I blinked, and they were gone. When I told Emma the next morning, she just laughed. "You're probably half asleep, Dan," she said, her tone soft but distracted. "You've been stressed with the move." I wanted to believe her. The house was new to us, perfectly white walls, brand new paint, and a wide open backyard that felt endless. It was supposed to be our fresh start, but that night it happened again, and the night after. Every evening the same golden glow returned once the sun set. It wasn't blinding, just wrong, too pure, too still. Even the crickets stopped chirping when it appeared. By the fourth night, I decided to take a picture. I stepped outside barefoot, my phone camera up. The light felt warm against my skin, like standing under summer sun. But there was no sound, no wind, no rustling trees, just the steady hum of silence. I pointed my phone at the fence and snapped a picture. When I checked the photo, my stomach dropped. There was someone standing behind the fence, not on my property on the other side, just beyond the line of trees. A tall figure, perfectly outlined in light, watching. I zoomed in, but the more I looked, the less human it seemed. Its arms were long, thin, reaching slightly outward, the head tilted in a way no person's could. I turned off my phone and ran inside, locking the door behind me. When I checked again, the light outside was gone. The backyard was pitch black. But the next morning, Emma asked me something that made my blood run cold. "Did you go outside last night?" she said, sipping her coffee. "I saw someone standing in the light. I thought it was you." Emma's words hit me harder than I expected. She wasn't teasing. Her voice was calm, thoughtful, almost confused. "You were standing so still," she said. "I almost called your name, but I thought maybe you needed space." I stared at her. "I wasn't outside, Em. I haven't gone out there since the night I took that picture." She frowned, her spoon clinking softly against her coffee cup. Then who was it? That question didn't leave my head for the rest of the day. When evening came, I found myself sitting by the back door again, staring through the glass as the sun sank. I waited for the moment the light should fade, when the sky should turn violet and the first stars appear. But just like every night before, the backyard stayed bright. That same soft, unnatural gold poured over the grass like melted glass. It wasn't sunlight. It wasn't artificial. It was something else, entirely something that didn't belong. I opened the door slowly, the hinges creaking in protest. The air outside was warm and heavy, thick enough to taste. The scent of wet soil and pine filled my lungs. I stepped barefoot onto the deck, heart pounding, scanning the fence line, and then I heard it. A faint sound, like breathing. Slow, steady, deep. It wasn't coming from me. It was coming from out there. I froze, my eyes darting to the edge of the yard, and there it was again. The same figure, tall, motionless, half hidden behind the trees. Its outline shimmered faintly, as if made from the same light flooding the yard. I whispered, "Who are you?" But no sound came out. My voice felt trapped somewhere in my throat. Then the strangest thing happened. The figure tilted its head, mirroring me perfectly. If I leaned left, it leaned left. When I raised my arm, it raised its own, just slightly delayed. It wasn't copying me exactly. It was learning. My chest tightened. I stumbled backward into the door, fumbling for the handle. My breath quick and shallow. And that's when I noticed something worse, my shadow. It didn't move. The light was bright enough that I should have seen it on the deck behind me. But when I turned, the boards were empty. The sunlight stretched across the wood. But there was no shadow at all. I ran back inside, slamming the door. Emma came running from the hallway, startled. "What happened?" she shouted. I couldn't find the words. I just pointed out the window. "Look," I said. But when she did, the light was gone again. The yard was dark pitch black, like the glow had never existed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through the photo on my phone again and again. The image of that tall, unnatural figure glowed faintly even through the screen. I zoomed in until the pixels blurred, and then I noticed something I hadn't before. In the reflection of the fence post, barely visible, was another figure. It wasn't standing in the light. It was standing right behind me. I dropped my phone. My breath hitched in my chest. Emma stirred beside me in bed. "What's wrong?" she mumbled sleepily. I couldn't answer. I just stared toward the hallway where a faint golden glow had begun to spill beneath the doorframe. And that's when the breathing started again. The glow under the door grew stronger, spilling into the room like liquid sunlight. Emma sat up beside me, her face pale. "Daniel, what is that?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. The air felt thick again, warm, humming with something alive. I reached for her hand, but my skin felt cold, almost translucent. When I looked down, the light reflected through my arm. That's when I realized the glow wasn't coming from the backyard this time. It was coming from us, Emma gasped, pulling her hand away. "What's happening to you?" Her voice shook, her pupils small against the light flooding the room. The golden glow swelled brighter, pressing against the windows until the glass trembled. The hum grew louder, low and heavy, vibrating in my bones. I could barely hear Emma screaming my name. My head pounded like my skull was full of bees. And then silence. I opened my eyes. Everything was still. Emma was gone. The bed was empty. The house was quiet. Only the golden light remained shining through every wall, every surface, filling every shadow. I stumbled into the hallway, calling her name, Emma. No answer. The light seemed to move now, shifting like it was searching for something. My heart raced as I followed it toward the back door. The glass glowed so bright I could barely see through it. Slowly, I pressed my hand against the cool surface and the light dimmed just enough for me to see. Outside, Emma stood in the middle of the yard, facing the house. Her skin shimmered faintly. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't moving. "Emma!" I shouted, throwing the door open. I ran to her, but the air outside wasn't air anymore. It was heavy, dense, almost solid. The moment I stepped into it, the warmth wrapped around me like a blanket. I could barely breathe. "Emma!" I yelled again. She turned her head slowly toward me, but her eyes didn't blink. The corners of her mouth twitched into a soft, peaceful smile. And then I realized what I was really looking at. It wasn't Emma. It was her shadow. Her real body was gone. The light had replaced her. I could see her outline shimmering in the glow, her features carved into the brightness. It was like she'd been burned into the air itself. I fell to my knees, my voice breaking. "Please, please come back." The light pulsed once, almost like it was answering me, and then everything went white. When I woke up, it was morning again. The house was quiet. Birds chirped. The air smelled clean. For a second, I thought maybe it was all just a dream until I looked outside. The backyard was still bright, and Emma was still standing there, smiling. unmoving. I took one last look at the photograph on my phone, the one I'd taken that first night. I zoomed in as far as it would go. This time I noticed something new. The figure behind the fence now had my face. Outro. YouTube-style ending. If your backyard ever stays bright after dark, don't go outside. The light might not be sunlight. It might be what's waiting for you when the sun finally decides to leave. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell, because the next story might just show you what happens when the light never goes out.